Good evening. Hi, my name is Barry Selby. Welcome to my daily broadcast. This is Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart, number 220. I'll get into that in a second. But first, let me introduce myself for those of you who've never heard me before or seen me before. As I tend not to cough. I am a best-selling author, speaker, and relationship attraction expert. Best-selling author... I did that one. Let me start again. Hi, my name is Barry Selby. Welcome to my broadcast. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and relationship attraction expert, helping strong, successful women find balance in love, life, and business. I'm also a passionate champion for the divine feminine. And I do these talks every day. This is my Facebook Live, and this is number 220 of Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. My talks usually are, well, they tend towards supporting women, although sometimes it's towards supporting men as well, by helping women. It's kind of like both sides of the conversation. Today's is an open topic, that way, an open theme, which is breaking up, breakthrough, breakdown, or I should say recycle, actually. Just recycle? Do it again. Something like that. Anyway, the bottom line, hi, nice to see you in my broadcast. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, this was first on Facebook Live, and I'm noticing that the lights, I changed the bulbs. They're actually white, so my shirt shows up the right color now instead of being yellow. Minor things that please me, what can I say? So this topic is in response to some some posts I saw recently, and a friend I was talking to earlier today. Because breaking up is unfortunately kind of a fact of life in relationships, because most people don't have a perfect relationship that lasts forever. And most people don't have a relationship that lasts forever that works either, because, I mean, my parents' relationship lasted pretty much till my mum passed away, and that was almost 60 years. Wasn't perfect, but they held in there. That's also part of my family's generation, I should say my parents' generation, which is probably your parents too. But this point I'm bringing up is because, for many of us, including me, breakups have happened. The question, though, is what do you do with that? Do you break through? Do you break down? Or do you just go back and repeat? And I'm going to break these down and explain these. I'm going to explain these pretty clearly. But I want you to ask yourself the same question. And that is basically, what is your regular mode of operation? And do you actually make a difference in your own experience to transcend and change where you were to where you go next? And I'll go into that as well. So I've laid out the flow, and I'll just get into it. So for most people who go through a relationship challenge that ends up with a breakup, there's often a period of breakdown, which is really the emotional gutter that we fall into when we don't feel life is worth living. Everything sucks. It hurts like hell. Nothing will solve it. And some people, they choose drugs and alcohol. Some people choose sex and other relationships, which is the recycle part, by the way. But I'll come to that, and I'll come to that in another angle too. But it's not making a difference. It doesn't change the cycle. So basically, it's like, let's go back and do it again. And for most people, in fact, some people seek solace in a new relationship to cover up the pain of the old one, but it doesn't work. Because at some point, and it may not be for a long period of time, the wound from the old relationship will show up in this one. And it may, in fact, cause this one to go even worse, as in more pain, more suffering, because you've got two relationships that haven't been resolved instead of one. Which is why I'm a big fan of breakthrough. And I'll get to that in a second, though, but I won't jump ahead. Well, I don't think I'm jumping ahead. So breaking down is part of the process for most of us after a relationship doesn't end, especially if we are the one that was broken up with. Now, if we're breaking up with somebody else, the breakdown may not be quite as traumatic or dramatic or long-lived. It might be fairly brief. However, there's a piece, hang on. Stuff comes through, so I'm just like listening to see what's coming through. And what I get, simply, succinctly, and in this moment is, if you're the one breaking up with somebody else, your own breakdown is going to happen, but at a much subtler level. And if you are someone who broke up with somebody else, and you don't do some sort of breakthrough work, and I'm going to get to it in a second, you're going to recycle it in your next relationship. And I'm looking back at my history and going, that pans out. That's true too. That if I went from relationship to relationship, which did way back in my past, and didn't do anything in between to complete, to reset, to do my own inner work to heal it, I'd end up repeating the same thing again. So on either side of the the person breaking up and the person being broken up with, I was trying to come up with acronyms, didn't work. There's going to be a need for breakthrough. So what does a breakthrough mean? Now, those of you who know me know my work is in the area of relationship coaching, and with my help my clients, they have breakthroughs. So what does that look like? What does that mean? The idea of a breakthrough, is that where you are after the breakthrough is very different from the situation before the breakthrough. Meaning that if you broke up with somebody, or somebody broke up with you, and you had a major trauma and upset and hurt feelings and grief and guilt and all these different things, working with someone who can help you through the breakthrough, I'm not going to say just me because other people do this work, but I happen to be biased about my own work, then the ability to have a healthy relationship afterwards the odds are greatly raised. And in fact, the odds of you repeating the same pattern you did before, if you work with somebody who knows what they're doing, will be greatly reduced, so that your next relationship won't be a reflection of what your previous one was. In fact, your next relationship will be a lot healthier than your previous one, and those cycles and patterns and routines you did in the last relationship that were limiting you or caused the breakup in the first place, quite often aren't even there in the new relationship. I think I did the right way around. I wasn't sure watching the screen to see which way I did that. You get what I mean. For most people, particularly those who don't watch my broadcasts, they have no clue about this. Most people on the planet seem to think that relationships end, get on with the next one. Lick your wounds, go find somebody else and start over. That's the cycle that most people live in. I did in my teens and 20s. But it doesn't work, ultimately, because what happens, you start creating either deeper wounds inside yourself or stronger scars on the outside of yourself. In fact, that reminds me, and I spoke about this a while back, I remember seeing Barbara DeAngelis. She spoke at Agape, my spiritual center, months ago. But she mentioned this thing about how when we don't deal with the baggage and trauma from past relationships, what happens is, if we imagine that our heart and our experience or our love is like a lake or an ocean, every time we have a breakup or an upset or a hurt or something like that, we will start building ice blocks or moving icebergs onto that ocean. And as time goes by and relationships happen and we keep ending relationships, we add more ice to that surface. So eventually the whole of the ocean is covered up. This is a metaphor, by the way, in case you're wondering. But the point is this. With that much frozen surface, which is what happens to our heart and our mindset and our beingness in new relationships, it's very hard to connect. And it's also very hard to be whole. So this surface, this protection, is also a barrier to love. It's a barrier to open up, and it's a barrier to feel. So your relationships, as you go through them, become less and less expressive, less and less enjoyable, less and less emotionally exciting. When you have a passionless relationship, that might be an indication of why. It's because your emotions are being suppressed or held back or iced over because you were wounded so much in the past. That's the scar tissue, basically. So, I offer a solution, which is my work, of course, but I want to speak to what you can do about it. If you're someone who's been through a breakup, especially if it's recent, and you haven't yet buried the wounds and hidden them, this is a perfect time to do some work to heal them. Whether it's doing it yourself, which you might do if you've got skills and you've had some training. I'm grateful I had quite a lot of my own through my master's program in spiritual psychology and all the things I've done over the years. I've got quite a toolkit. But even so, I will still seek out other people's guidance because I can't see inside me as well as I can have somebody else see inside me. And I recommend that for everybody else too. Second, you could do this if you go to a retreat or a training or a seminar that's based on this sort of teaching. There are some programs out there I know of that do really deep work. They cost thousands of dollars. I mean, one of the ones I know is a 6 or 7 day retreat, and it's about $4,000 to go. And there's about 50, 60 people in that group. So you're not doing it alone. But you're going deep dive into healing past history, past rumors, and past traumas so you can be whole again. That's option 2. Option 3 is you find somebody, counselor, therapist, priest, relationship coach, hint, hint, or somebody who's got skills that can help you through this trauma and this pain of past relationships, you can have a breakthrough and be healed and whole. This is not this is not rocket science. This is very basic stuff. But so many people treat relationships like you go through one, if it breaks, if it fails, it fails. There's no recognition of your emotional wounding and your responsibility in that relationship and past that relationship. So the breakdown, it will happen often if you've been the one that's broken up with. But to recycle and go back in again is not the solution. And I know for many of you they're going to go, what do you mean it's not the solution? I was in the same boat. I did relationships again and again, hoping for a change, and it didn't happen until I changed. And that really is the answer. Until you change, that breakthrough, your past relationship experiences will keep repeating themselves in the present. It's a fact of life. And if that's what you want, so be it. But if you want to change, get help. And again, there's many different forms. In fact, I'm just realizing there's a fourth one I would say that's in there sort of kind of, which is if you don't have your own tools, and you're not going to go to a retreat or work with a coach or a counselor, there are books and other programs out that you can find online that could get you through it too. Generally speaking, if you're not working with somebody or some bodies to work with this stuff, it's hard to get to the emotional content when you're working with a book. So my recommendation is you find someone you trust, someone whose heart you can trust, and someone who you feel can get you where you want to go, and then have the breakthrough you want. I mean, this is true of any area of life you want to change through, but this is the area of relationship specifically, that I'm attempting to elucidate you with, as it were. So I'm just seeing if this ties in. I've been doing a series of talks the last 4 or 5 days about different things that seem to be thematically related. I did one yesterday about how relationships are like presents. They're gift wrapped and they have stuff inside. And the question is, what attracts you, the gift wrap or the contents or both? And what's recommended? The one before that was about no means no, about dating and stuff. So in a way, these are all like a sequence. So you basically had, I guess there is a sequence. No means no as in rejection of a relationship, to what are you attracted to a relationship, to being out of a relationship. So there's sort of a sequence there. I think that's it. I'm realizing I'm realizing what I'm sharing, it doesn't have the depth I always had it before, so this must mean the end of the conversation or the end of the talk. I do appreciate you watching, by the way. I didn't see many comments in here, but thank you for being with me and thanks for following along. This is my daily Facebook Live. This is number 220 Facebook Lives now. All up and running on my business page, which is barryselby.author on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, which is Barry Selby, and also on my website. If you go to the video blog on barryselby.com, you can watch them all there. If you watch them on Facebook, you can comment and I can respond afterwards too. And if you watch them on YouTube, you can comment there and I can also answer too. My website, you get to watch. I think that's about it. I will be back tomorrow because I do this every day. So tomorrow will be 221. The count keeps growing up and apparently I have fresh content every day. So I'm trusting that still flows. Thank you for watching and being with me. I do invite you, please, to take care of yourself. This is a new year, lots of new things happening. I actually created a program for people who want to get their jumpstart in the new year and build their vision the right way they want. If you want to find out more about that, reach out to me. But I invite you to please take care of yourself. This is a busy time of year for some people, starting up the brand new year. This is the first week of resolutions. Who knows where that's going to go. And there's a lot of things happening around the world around us. So I invite you, please, to take care of yourselves. I'll be back again tomorrow with another topic. And if you have any questions, comments, you can put them in below in the comments after I sign off, and I'll respond to you there as well. And if you want to actually get help from me, because I did mention that I do offer this work, you can either you can either contact me through social media, and I can reach out to you, or you can go to my website and click on the Let's Chat navigation choice in the menu. Either one will get to me, and I can help you. And with that, I thank you for watching. As always, please take care of yourselves. You deserve the best. And I invite you to take care of yourself enough to have the best. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.